welcome to Season 3 of Mary for the Ages podcast. I'm your host, Mary, and I am so very glad that you are here with me. I am just overwhelmed by the wonderful people that we have on this season of the podcast. This podcast season is all about people who have walked through the supernatural and have not only walked in the supernatural, but have done it well at a great personal price and with great personal process, and have done so in, as far as I know, a healthy way. We're going to be touching on all sorts of supernatural and interesting types of topics, and I can't wait to get started. So buckle up and enjoy. So I'm here with Scott Hughes, who has been a CEO of many different companies, often in the Christian space. And as he was just saying, often bridging the divine and the profane, finding the space between books and media and literature and faith, and making those worlds work together in harmony with the Lord, which is really amazing. And Scott has also been a seer for a long time. In addition to being a CEO of multiple different companies, he's also worked as a prophetic mentor and strategist on the side to so many. He's taken insight and used it to shape people's lives and hearts. And I would also say that he's been a student of the mind and the heart and brain science, and has just gone on an incredible journey of learning what it means to be whole. And so I am so excited to have Scott with us today. So Scott, do you remember the first time we met and where we were?
I don't. I know. I assume it was at Wellspring in the prophetic room, but I don't remember.
Yeah. I remember at our church, Wellspring, going to the prophetic rooms, which is a place where I've served for a few years. For those that don't know, like, a prophetic room is where somebody can come and sit in front of 2 or 3 people that pray for them and listen to God on their behalf. So I remember seeing Scott the first time, and I think it was in the prophetic rooms, and I just saw him and I was like, that guy's a seer. And not just like sees visions sometimes, but I was like, he sees in spiritual realms like you and I see in the natural, which is, I see that way pretty often. And so I was like, that guy's a seer. I want to get to know him and find out more about what this is about, because sometimes you find somebody and you're like, oh, thank God, this person is actually going to get me on some level. And so
Mhm.
Scott and I have gotten to pray together, minister together, and be friends. I've really gotten to know him really well. He has many really cool life stories. Scott, what is your most exotic and strange life story, or at least one that comes to mind?
Well, it's funny. I mean, the theme of my life is really a bridge. I'm a bridge between two
Mm.
worlds. And, I grew up in Greenwich, Connecticut, which is a very affluent suburb of New York City, sort of the Upper East Side, suburban version of the Upper East Side of New York
Mm.
City. And I grew up in a Greenwich Baptist church that's totally conservative, super Baptist. So it was the only Christian church really in Greenwich in the 80s. And so that's where we went. And so that was a bridge. And then I'm a bridge between a whole bunch of worlds: old, young, rich, poor, north, south, Christian, non-Christian, entertainment, technology, and then seer, prophetic, seer, kingdom, and then the world, right? So I think a fun story, that relates to all that bridgeness, I guess, is, I was 12 years, the first time I'll go into like the first time I ever like noticed I saw something. I was 12-ish, laying in bed on my side, facing, towards the wall. And I think I was sad or stressed or something. I was anxious for some reason. Maybe I had just moved to Greenwich from Darien. I'm not sure exactly. But I was stressed. And I remember vividly seeing and feeling Jesus sitting on this little stool, like adult Jesus, sitting on a stool next to me. And his hand went from my head down my side, my legs, and he was
Mm.
just calming me. He was like, it's going to be okay. I'm here. Like, just relax, you know? And I wanted to turn over and see if I could see him because I could feel it, I could sense it. Oh, he's right there. If I turn over, I'm going to see him. You know what I mean? And that was that first time, and then it happened over and over. Like it happened probably for a couple of months, and that was pretty unique. And to those of whom who are watching or listening, who are like, I wonder if I'm a seer. Or, this is weird, or how do I do this? It's kind of like if you remember Peter Parker and Spider-Man when he first got bit, he was like, "Wait, what's this thing I can now do that I don't understand?" Right? What's right? You know what I mean? And it's this overwhelming, powerful thing. You have no idea. It comes out of nowhere. So it's kind of scary a little bit at first, and you don't know how to control it. It's almost like going through puberty. It's like, oh my gosh, like I'm different now. But that's what it's like. And it's so enjoyable once you kind of realize what it is and what it's there for. And, that
Mm,
it's basically a relationship. I mean, it's all about a relationship. And it's just a relationship with God. And He's just allowing the Holy Spirit to flow through you. And He's given you certain gifts. And if you have the gift of seeing, then that's great. And you can choose to develop it or not develop it. And it's very rewarding if you do because he gave it to you for a reason and it can really help you and it can help other people.
yeah. How have you seen it help you or help other people?
Well, I mean, seeing angels and demons is very helpful, right?
It really is, but for those at home.
Well, I mean, another funny story. So I was living in New York City and I was married and we had a best friend, my first wife, my only wife so far. And we were both in our early mid 20s and our friend was in her mid 20s. And the three of us went up to, for a weekend at a friend's house they had rented in the Adirondacks. So we
Yeah.
arrived late Friday night and we walk into this beautiful old Adirondack house, right on a lake. I walk in, it's 2 stories, and I walk in, and it's like you walk in the back door, kitchen, bedroom, living room, other things. And so I walk in, and we're trying to figure out where we're going to stay, right? And so I walk in bedroom, like, someone died here. Nope, not going to sleep in that room immediately, you know? And
Already
I go
helpful.
upstairs. So we go upstairs, and we have our son who's like 1 at the time or younger. And then the next morning, wake up, go downstairs, and I walk out, and there's a maid coming to like clean the house because people who had rented the house had hired a maid. And I go, "Hey, someone die in that front bedroom?" And she goes, "Ash white." She's like, "How'd you know?" I said, just had a feeling. She's like, "Yeah, the lady who used to live here was this old woman, very eccentric, and she loved, that was her
Um,
bedroom, and she would only stay in that bedroom, and she would walk across the living room, big stone fireplace, into the porch, which was like a music room, and she'd play the piano, right? Fine. So I, made leaves, and I'm talking to our friend Brooke, who had chose to sleep on the couch that night by the fire. Very nice, right? In the room between
Cozy.
the bedroom and the music room, right? So, hey, girls, like this is hilarious. Like this, the maid told me something. I don't know if I told you last night, but I tell the story, and Brooke freaks out, jumps up, and kind of runs out of the room because she's so scared and like freaked out. I'm like, what? And she comes back. She's like, you guys, you won't believe. I was laying on the couch last night, and I heard footsteps behind, walking past me, past the couch, into the music room, and then footsteps back. Like I got chills right now, just so that was helpful. I didn't want to sleep in that room. I didn't want to have this, whatever it was. Then I saw this giant demon above my bed that night, over our bed. The house was
Um,
just so much darkness. And so I,
yeah.
cast it off and I saw this huge angel by the lake kind of watching over us. So I felt it's helpful to know like you've got angels who are protecting you, right?
Mm,
And watch out for the demonic. Either you have it to ignore it and walk away from it, not be around it, or you can pray it away. You can tell it to leave. It gives you insight on how to navigate the spiritual realm that's around us that affects us.
yeah. Yeah, well, and I just, yeah, your like rubric and kind of how you approach it, it's just very, I appreciate how linear and simple it is. And I love like whenever we pray together, you're just like, yeah, and so, this is this and this is this, and then we'll just pray about it. And then this will move. And then this, it's like the linear version to seeing, and it's really awesome. Yeah.
Thanks.
That's awesome. Yeah. I've also enjoyed like, because like I have friends that are seers, and whenever you're around other seers, it just all becomes very simple and factual, and we're not perhaps as emotional about some of this stuff as people would assume that we were. It's just like, yeah, this is here and this is here, and then this is what God is going to do about it, and it's just normal.
It's super normal. I think it's great to have the spiritual realm be more normal. I mean, if you think about it, the spiritual world is more real than this physical world is. I mean, this physical world, we think, oh, the physical world's the real world, and the spiritual world's like the hocus pocus
Mhm.
world, or whatever. No, it's like that's the real world. And this is going to may sound crazy, and I can unpack this if we need to, but we are living in something like the Matrix. If you've watched the
Mhm.
movie, that we are living in a digital simulation to a degree. It's real. It's like the desk I'm sitting in, it's wood. It's real. It's tangible, but it's a carbon-based or hydrogen-based simulation that God coded with his words. He spoke it into existence. He coded it. It's code, right? He's the power source. He's the server farm. And we're in it. Now, we're spiritual beings. We're eternal spiritual persons. Now, that's who we are. We're eternal. Every human being is an eternal spiritual person, right? We're eternal. We're spiritual, and we're a person. We're not a thing. We're a person, right? We have mind, will, emotions, all that, and we're living in these bodies, which are the fine. This is the physical world we're in for now. Like we're going to always be in a body. It's going to be a spiritual body going forward. It's a physical body right now. I don't really know a lot about what happened before we were born. There's a whole bunch of speculation on that one. I don't really have not really researched it, but we're living in a simulation. So this, when we can see into the spiritual world, we're seeing more truth, more reality than most people would see in this physical world. And that's the world that drives this world. I mean, Ephesians 6, right? We battle not against flesh and blood, but against spirits, powers, and all that. Like that's the real world. So being able to see is so helpful because it helps you see what's really going on around you, like world
Right.
events or things happening in your lives, like, whether it's a demonic attack or whether it's a
Mhm.
curse or whether it's a blessing, um, or an angel, like it's way more than just, oh, I went to school and got an MBA and now I'm working at Goldman Sachs. Like it's way
Right.
more than that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, and I think too, like, I'm really passionate about people understanding the spiritual world because you don't always know what's really driving your decisions or what's really driving the way your life has gone. I'm like super convinced that the spiritual and the physical are so intertwined,
Hmm.
like they're just running on the same track. And so when you see something that's out of order physically, typically there's a cause and effect in the spiritual realm as well. And, why wouldn't you want to see how those things are interconnected in a really deep way, but
Right.
then use it and appropriate it correctly,
Hmm.
which maybe you could talk about that. Because I think a lot of times seers get inundated with information. And it could even be like, I talked with a lot of people in the last quarter that were in like some different courses and stuff. They're mostly feelers. And so, they walk into a room and they're just like, the vibes are off. The vibes are not vibing. They're like, "I don't know." And they're getting inundated with information too, but in a different way. And so, like, when you're getting inundated with that kind of information, like, how do you, because I feel like you're very good at like being very like, and this is this, and this is this, and
Hmm.
this is what God is going to do. Like, when you're getting inundated with that kind of spiritual information, how do you start to sort that and use it calmly and helpfully?
That's a great question. So I was mentored by a guy out of England named Selwyn Hughes, and he's now passed away and he's not related to me, but he wrote Every Day with Jesus. I mean, he might be related to me like distantly, but we're not like close relatives, even though we have the same last name. But he wrote Every Day with Jesus, which is like a daily devotional, which I mean is huge around the world. I mean, hundreds of thousands of people read it every day. And he was very charismatic and very biblically based and very emotionally aware. So he had the trifecta, right? And I think the way I look at it is if all you have is a hammer everything looks like a nail, right? Right? So the seers are like everything's spiritual, and they have this screw and they're trying to hammer a screw into the wall, right? Because it's like it's got to be spiritual, right? And the feeler's like, oh my God, I just feel this, and it's and they're just hammering that screw in the wall with a feeling hammer, right? Like it's all I know to do. And one of the things Selman taught me, he's like, look, diagnose what's going on. Like, you're sick. Okay. It's one of three things: physical, emotional, or spiritual. Could be any of them. Could be all three. Could be you had some trauma that hurt you. You're bitter, haven't forgiven someone. That opens a door. The demonic comes in, right? It's like, bitterness, my favorite. Yummy. I love bitterness. Demon comes in as sickness, your body reacts, and you're sick. So the answer is not Tylenol, and it's not even casting the demon out yet. The initial answer is, okay, Holy Spirit, please show me what started this. And he's like, you're mad at your mom. You're like, yes, she hurt my feelings. Do you want to forgive her? Because it's always an invitation, because we have agency. And you're like, yeah, I forgive my mom for that. Okay, boom, door's closed, right? You've forgiven her, clean. And you're like, I sense something here. Demon sickness, cast it out. Now, it might take a little while. It could happen immediately. Now maybe you may need to take Tylenol. You might, it's fine. Nothing wrong with Tylenol necessarily, not endorsing it. But it's like, that's the thing. It's like all three were involved in that one, right? And so it's diagnosing, and I mean, that's the core. But I think the core of it also, well, that's the application. The core is just being teachable and not being prideful. I mean, really. I mean, I think
Yeah.
that's the number one thing I would want to say to anyone in
Yeah.
faith. It's like, we love because he first loved us.
Mhm.
Our job isn't to run after Jesus. It's not to follow Jesus. It's not to please Jesus. Our job is to receive his love, right?
Mm.
Allow ourselves to be loved, let that happen, accept, receive, and from that place of strength and confidence and contentment of that relationship with him, give. So if we're seeing something, it's like, all right, he wants to show us something. Why are you showing this to me? What do you want me to do with it? And what's really going on? And then you filter, like, is it a physical thing? Is it an emotional thing? Is it a spiritual thing? And in the spiritual realm is like, is it a demon? Is it a curse? Is it bitterness, resentment that's causing the curse or demon to be able to be there? Is this something you should, I mean, the other thing I would want to mention is, and I'll give you a funny story about this one. Just because you can see something and just because you care about it doesn't mean you should be doing something about it right now.
Bingo.
You
Yeah,
know?
bingo. I am now about to soapbox for 30 seconds and then I want to hear your funny story, but I get so many questions online. You can see it, so why aren't you tearing it down and like doing a big call for prayer and all of this? And I'm like, everything happens in the timeline and it's not my timeline, it's his timeline.
And that takes humility and that takes confidence in your relationship and to be able to hear him. So, funny
What's your
story. So, 20 years ago, maybe 25 years ago, I was an executive in the Christian music industry. Anyone who's over 30 may remember these WOW CDs, WOW hits, WOW gospel, WOW worship. I helped create that and I ran it for 14 years. So I was kind of a big fish in a small pond of, as I said, the Christian space, right? So I had a lot of relationships in DC because I would do some lobbying on behalf of the music industry. Bush had just become president. Bush 2, 9/11 had happened. And I had this great idea. You know what we need? We need a prayer shield over America. Good idea, right? Who wouldn't want a prayer shield over America? I was like, you know what we need to do? We need to get some leaders together and have the president call for America to fast and pray and to, have churches do groups, and we're going to pray for America, pray over America. Just it's going to be like I don't know, once a week kind of thing. And I created the whole idea. Brilliant, brilliant. Who wouldn't love this, right? Okay. Well, because I'm, somewhat of a big fish in a small pond, I can get to Billy Graham. So I get to Billy Graham. I'm like, hey, Billy, would you, not personally, and we had gone through intermediaries, obviously, but like, would you chair it? He goes, yep, happy to chair it. Anything the president wants me to do, I'll do, of course. I'm like, great, I got Billy Graham. Now what do you need, right? So I write up a little proposal And in this time frame, I had this idea to do a Christian music event in the East Room of the White House. I'm like, why don't we do a televised event there's never been that I'm aware of, a dedicated evening of Christian music in the White House to promote it, and Black gospel, Southern gospel, Christian worship, all the genres. So I went through my contacts. We pitched it. White House liked it. It's going to happen. So Valentine's Day, you can go watch it on TV. I'm in the very back row. So, Valentine's Day, probably 2002-ish, you know, it happens. Well, in the meantime, I got to go back and forth to DC. We got to figure out where the green rooms are, where you put the generators, the cables, blah, 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 all the logistics. So on one of these logistics runs, I'm like, I'm going to present my idea to the head of communications at the White House because we can talk to the president about it. Fine. So I have my little suit on and my little like one pager and my cream crane stationery ready to go for the White House. Of course, who wouldn't? And so I'm flying on Southwest from, Nashville to DC, and I start getting sick. So I'm in the bathroom throwing up the entire time. Like, whoa, man, I feel bad. This is really bad. And I was fine. I slept great the night before, whatever. And so then we get a car picks us up, right, to bring us to the White House. I'm like, the driver, like, can you just pulls over on the highway, hurling on the side of the road, get back in the car. Like, I'm dying, right? So we meet the lobbyist who's going to walk us in front of we go get some soup right across the street from the White House. I guys, like, I don't even know if I can walk inside. They're like, no, 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 you got to come. What's your idea? You got to come. Like, I go, okay. So I can barely walk. And I walk the West Wing the way it is, like, there's like a little guard hut at the West Wing of the fence. And then you go through a little metal detector, it's a little hut, and you walk out, and then you're on the driveway and you pass like where all the reporters are and you walk in the West Wing, right? Okay. So go through the gate, get to the hut, metal detector. I step out of the hut, it's gone. It's totally, I'm fine. I'm ready to roll. I'm rocking. It's all gone. And what it was, and I presented the idea and they didn't do anything with it. What it was I was like a nobody with no army around me. And the enemy was like, this guy wants to, and he could do it too. Like, this could happen. Like, if this guy gets this through the right way, this could be a big deal. We don't want the president of the United States and Billy Graham calling for a prayer and fast for a season of time over America, for a prayer shield over America. That's the last thing the enemy wanted. So he just crushed me. But when I walked into the grounds of the White House, there was so much prayer for the president, for the White House by millions of people that there was like a bubble of protection. So I walk in and I'm like in the safe zone, in a safe house, right? Like I'm in the embassy. Like you can't get me. It was the most surreal thing ever. It's like going from dying to like being totally fine. And I just realized like, so the moral of the story is had an idea, used my own strength to try and make it happen. Wasn't the right time, wasn't the right group of people, right? And I got
Mhm.
crushed.
Yep.
Word of
And that
warning.
happens.
Happens all the time.
Happens all the time. Well, and just because you can see something happening doesn't mean it was the right time for that.
Or it's your thing. I mean, maybe your job is to go tell someone. Like I've learned
Mhm.
that. The other thing I would mention, as a seer, we live, I mean, I'm in America, but like very individualistic, very postmodern world where we're all
Mhm.
individuals. Our phones make us individuals. We're very self-reliant.
Mm.
And that's very antithetical to Christianity. It's very antithetical to biblical, Old Testament or New Testament. We are meant to live in groups. And if you look at the
Yeah.
New Testament with the fivefold ministry, the prophetic, which is our seers, is one of the five. And we're meant to be in a community. So I realize my job as the seer in some cases is just to tell whoever the pastor is, the apostle, whoever, hey, this is what I saw.
Do with that what you will.
Like that was my job. My job was to see it and to bring it to
Mm.
the group. Now the group's going to decide what we're going to do with it, and I'll influence that. But it's not always my job to do whatever I see. It may be
Yeah.
just I'm the delivery person.
Well, and sometimes the messenger gets shot, as we all know. But yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. And I think, like you said, it takes a lot of relationship with the Lord and it takes a lot of asking, the name above all names, hey, what do we do about this?
Well, to me, there's three things. I was thinking about this before,
Mm.
like what do you want to chat about? And I want to be really helpful and kind of give the basics, so people can really kind of grow in their ability to see. So to me, there's really three things about, being a seer or prophetic that I've found really helpful to me. One, practicing it. Not worrying about being wrong. Like practice, just practice, 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 practice. It's like anything. Like we're both photographers, right? So it's like just practice, go shoot, just go take pictures. A lot of them are going to be really bad. That's okay. You'll learn what's good. So part of it's practice. Part of it is being community of other seers, other prophetic people. That's so helpful. Listening to other people pray, how they pray, what they see. This does two things for me. Well, I'll go into it. So one is, practice it. Two, be in a group of people who are constantly doing it so you can get a feel for what it's like and examples and test, they all, also test each other, right? And the third thing is just really be a student of the Bible. Like as much as you can, get to know the big picture, the big, big themes, God's in charge. He's not in control, but he is in charge, which is interesting. We can talk about that. Um, we receive first, like that's a big theme. Our job is to receive. Like it's all about relationships and it's about loving and caring for people. Like that's the key. Like it's always the character is the key. So it's relationship and character, but knowing the stories in the Bible. What are common themes? So as you're prophesying, if you hear something like, is that biblical? Maybe. Is it just worldly good advice? Because that's a
Right.
big problem I find in the church is like we try and build God's kingdom with Satan's principles. Like, oh, this is how the marketing guys would do it. This is how the world does it. We should use these Harvard Business Review studies on how growth works and how to build companies and apply it to the church. Well, not really. Maybe. I mean, there is good wisdom in the world, and you should sometimes listen to it, but it's usually antithetical to biblical wisdom. I mean, honestly, right? The kingdom of God is very different than the kingdom of this world. They're antithetical. So you gotta be careful. So those are three things for me. It's like practice, be in a group of people doing it, and then also know the Bible really well. And that'll help you be a better seer and a prophet.
Yeah, I was reading, I'll just flip to it really quick. I was reading Proverbs 9 this morning. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom, and the knowledge of the Holy One is understanding.
Hmm.
And it's like, really, like your whole thing was seeing is like you want to see him first, and then the rest of the pieces will start to fall into place. And so a lot of
Hmm.
times people are like, I want to know that the spiritual realm is real, so I want to see. And you're putting the cart in front of the horse and it'll go nowhere. A lot of times people want to have a paranormal experience and then they have no context for where to put it. And there's like no understanding because it's put in the incorrect place, really. I mean, I think. I don't know. What do you think?
Well, I think we can use the gifts God gave us for good or evil, right?
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
that's why I say biblically understanding things is key and also being in community.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's like you talk to these guys who are like, oh, I'm going to seminary. What do you mean? I want to be a mega church pastor. Okay. Not why. Do you want to be famous? Do you want to be rich? Do you want to be listened to? Or do you really love the sheep? Right? Like, why do you want that? Like, what's driving you? Is it this deep childhood trauma performance because your dad didn't like you? Or is it because you just feel so loved by Jesus? You can just exude love. You just can't help it. Like, feed the sheep, care for the sheep, whatever. Where's your heart? So,
Right.
with any gift, it's got to be like, what's your heart? Why do you want to use this? And it has to be about love. I mean, that, Paul talked about that. I'm a, clanging gong and a noisy cymbal, right? Like, if I don't have love. Well, the thing about love is we cannot give what we do not have.
Mm.
Impossible. You can't borrow against it either. Like, you either love people or you're manipulating them, period.
Woo.
Right? Like, it's that simple. Like, the world is a lot more binary than we would like to admit. Even the gray areas, it's all black and white dots.
Mm.
Like,
Mm.
it really is. You're either loving or you're either giving or you're taking or you're receiving. Only three options.
Mhm.
And you want to give and receive. You don't want to take. So why
Amen.
are you doing something? So I think checking your motive. Now, to do that, you have to, you got to
Mm.
practice it. You've got to like be in relationship because your friend's like, hey, Scott, you're being a jerk. That word was a little harsh. True, maybe, but did you have to say it like that? I mean, was that the right time to say it? So another thing is like for me, one of the challenges I have is
Mm.
I tend to see good and bad pretty intensely, pretty equally.
Mm.
So I'll be praying for someone and it'll be like I was praying for a couple. Couple came in, young couple, one kid, maybe, kid sitting, bouncing on the knee, and they come in for a prophetic word. And I know immediately she doesn't trust him. She is mad at him, doesn't like him, doesn't respect him. Maybe Jezebel's spirit. I wouldn't go that far. Maybe he's wounded, needs to get approval. He doesn't know how to lead. He's got a really good heart, though, full of love, like wants to, just doesn't know how to. And she's pissed, and they have a crap marriage. Okay. And the rules
Yeah.
of our church are you're only allowed to be encouraging. So I'm like, I think the Lord's inviting you guys to just trust each other more and to like, Susie, not her name. I think, the Lord's inviting you to really sort of build up your husband and encourage him and like, you're strong. That's a gift God's given you, but like maybe use that strength to help him become stronger. Right? Like I'm trying to, right? Like sow's your silk purse, right? As best I can. What I want to say is, hey, you're being a wuss. You need a mentor. Get your crap together. Like, get loved. Like, stop. Don't look at her. She's not meant to fill that void. And you over there, hey, back off. Like, you're a leader. Like, lead for now because you have to, because you're in a crisis. But look, your leadership needs to build him up. Like, so he can lead the family and be a man because he doesn't know how to be a man because he's never been taught to be a man. So stop trying to be a man for him and be pissed at him because all you're doing is teaching your kids how to not live right. But like, use your gift, use your strength to build the family up, protect the family, take care of the family, and encourage him to lead. Give him chances, and he'll grow into it. He gets a mentor, he gets fathered. Now he knows what it's like to be a man. And now you can relax and back off and be happy and not so mad that you're always in charge all the time because it's a burden you don't want to carry. He feels strong and encouraged and loved and blah, blah, blah. And the kids are, I mean, right? I love to say that. And that's what they needed to hear.
Wow. But what did you say instead?
I ended up saying that to them privately later because I asked permission to be like, I went to him and I was like, hey, this is what I see. And I did talk to both of them. I was like, hey, am I wrong here? But I'm sensing after we prayed and it was like on tape and done, I was like, hey, I'm sensing some stuff here. Am I right? Like, oh yeah, man, we hate each other. I'm like, okay, do you want to like work on that? Yeah, we really need some help with that. I'm like, okay, well, here's my thinking. Like when they were vulnerable and honest about it and they were totally teachable and I could be more clear, I was like, this is what I see. And they're like, God, thank you so much. That's so helpful. Like it really, it's great because I mean it in love. Even if look, prophecy is not like a cotton swab. Sometimes it can be like, sometimes it's that. But sometimes it's a scalpel because you know what? You got cancer, got to cut it out. Now, it's
Mm.
never meant to be an axe, ever, 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 ever,
Right.
ever, ever. But it,
Right.
it is sometimes meant to be a scalpel. Sometimes it's meant to be like a nice massage. Oh, I feel so good. Yes, God loves me. Mm,
Mm.
I'm going to be wealthy and powerful. Yes, great. Yes, and he's going to meet all my needs. Yes, fabulous. Great.
Mm.
I need that encouragement sometimes. And sometimes it's like, you've been very selfish lately, or you're full of fear, or you need to forgive your parents, or whatever.
Right. Well, and just to kind of provide some context for those listening at home that are maybe like, what's happening here? So Scott was invited to pray for a couple and to do so on a recorded we record a lot of our words, which is something I would really encourage anybody listening to do. Like, you want to steward your words, and that's part of the weighing and testing process is either writing them down, recording them, and that's part of actually growing as a seer or as a prophetic person is stewarding them. And so what Scott, just to kind of like frame this experience, like Scott saw and discerned accurate information about somebody, but then had to discern not just the information, but also the best way to offer it to them. And I love how you handled that, Scott, because it was with permission and you asked a question. Is it okay if I share this with you? Is it okay if I kind of go there with you? And then they were given the opportunity to say yes or no, which is an emotionally healthy way to deal with hard words because a lot of times seers will get, the scalpel kind of word and everything is black and white and it's this or it's this. And then you kind of are like whacking everyone and everything in front of you with the scalpel of your vision, and there's no relationship and there's no relational equity to actually share what you have in a healthy way. Does that sound about right?
Totally. And it's all about loving people. I mean, look,
Mm.
you know, God gave gifts to the church to build it up. We are one of those gifts. So prophetic, seeing, feelers, all of that. We're here to build the body up. Sometimes it's basic when you say build the body up, it's coaching, right? Now, if you've ever been an athlete, you don't want your coach to just be like, hey, you're doing great, doing great, doing great. You want your coach to be like, hey, you know what, your stride here is wrong, and I'm going to push you a little bit. Why am I doing that? Because I love you, because I believe in you, because I see strength in you, I see promise in you. I want to see you be your fullest, your best, right? That's us. So that's the key.
No, that's beautiful. Well, and I think too, like it sounds like you went on quite a journey with emotional health and with like kind of learning those, with the other hues. And so kind of like talk to me a little bit about this emotional health journey that you went on because I think a lot of times people see seers as unstable, having an experience nobody else is having, some really black and white, maybe emotionally unstable, all of these like really negative tropes, like you need psychotherapy, all these things that can kind of come back into it. And one of the things I really love about you is that you have taken the time to learn about emotions and the heart, brain science. And so you kind of pull that really into what you see. So, how did
Hmm.
you get started on that journey?
It's a long story. I'll try to be brief. And I think we might transition into this sort of like 7 keys or 7 foundational things that that God's helped me synthesize. So one of my strengths is, if I see 1,000 variables of things that are going on, I'll see the 20 buckets all 1,000 fit into, right? Oh, there are 20 major themes in these thousands of variables. But there's really 2 that are driving the bus. Like these 2 are, like those 2 are key to the 20, which are key to the 1,000, right? So we can work on these 2, boy, man, it just filters up to everything. So that's kind of a gift the Lord's given me. It's kind of like a seeing thing, like I can see vast amounts of data and then just kind of synthesize it into trends. I was also trained to do that. My first real job in New York City. I worked at a strategic marketing branding firm, and we were taught to see trends and all the synthesized data really quickly. So I had practice at it too. So my emotional health, and I think I think the Lord's worked on me so I can help others. So let's take the last 30 years. The first 15 years of that last 30 years, my career went straight up. It was just like my salary would double every couple of years, more power, more authority, more opportunity. It's great. It's so nice. It's nothing better. It's so nice to be in that space. It's like, oh, it's great. And then it just stopped cold after 15 years in 2010. And then for the last 15 years, it's been just a desert. And financially and professionally, and what the God was doing was he taught me all these skills in the first 15 years, like the music industry, the tech industry, trends, marketing, strategy, business development, traveling, holding meetings, whatever, all these things that are great skills to have. But then he was like, I taught you all the skills, but like you were so wounded as a kid, and there's so much in you that are either false idols because of what you thought you needed or wanted, or how you were taught to believe that were important. I want to do a lot through you, but I need to tear down this house that was built on sand to the ground and then dig up the sand to get to the bedrock, then lay the foundation and then start building the house back up. And it's going to suck and it's going to hurt. And he didn't tell me it was going to be 15 years, but it's been 15 years. And across that 15-year period, I noticed 7 major sort of foundational 7 keys, 7 trends, 7 foundations. I don't know how you're going to look at it, but there's 7 principles, I guess you'd say, that I have found that are really like the core ones for mental health, for anyone to like thrive. Like if you have these 7 things in your life, you almost can't not thrive. Like you still got to be in it, but it's basically creating the environment for the tree to grow, right? You got to have the water, the light, the soil, everything's got to be right. If you have all that ready and you put an acorn in there, you're probably going to get a really healthy oak tree. I mean, like generally speaking, but if you don't have those things, yeah, it's going to be a problem, right? So again, back to the whole, like, if all you have is a hammer, everything was like a nail. A lot of people focus on, oh, just do your quiet time, read the Bible, and great thing to do. I love doing that, but that's not everything. Then it's like, oh, go to therapy. Also great, but not everything. Group therapy, even better. Yes, also valuable, but again, not everything. Oh, demons. It's all demons. Well, yes, sort of. So I've kind of realized all that. So these are my 7 things, right? You want to go through them?
Yeah, let's do it. I mean, I think that I was just, and now I'm just like so honored and thankful because I know this was expensive. And so
Mm.
I just want to take a second to honor this. And to anybody listening, like what I think you're about to hear is the fruit of somebody's life for 15 years. So let's buckle up. Pausing here because if you've enjoyed this episode, you would probably also enjoy some courses that are launching on maryfortheages.com, which is Mary, M-A-R-I, for the ages.com. I have been teaching publicly and privately on the supernatural for almost a decade now, and I have taken some time to make some text-based courses that are designed to help you walk not just a supernatural life, but also a solid, rooted, and grounded life. And so if that sounds of interest to you, you can find those at maryfortheages.com, M-A-R-I for the ages.com. You can also join our Substack community, which is Mary for the Ages on Substack, where you will get updates and may even be able to join in some conversations there.
Well, I mean, again, look at biblically, right? You look at your top 7 or 8 people in the Bible that have done like the big ones, right? Like, Noah, Moses, David, Joshua, but any of the big ones, Paul, Jesus, they all had like 10 plus years of desert. David, for sure, anointed king, 13, 14, 15 years. It's debatable, something around there before he gets to be king. And what's happening in those 15 years? Being chased by the current king, given lots of opportunities to usurp the throne, to make bad choices, right? He learned how to lead, learned how to fight, learned how to, he learned character, right? So I think that's what it's about. If you really want, you pray, like I could have made the mistake that we all make in our 20s. Like, God, you can do anything through me. I give you everything. Do whatever you want. He's like, okay, I gave you agency and you just gave me control. So, all right, I want the best for you. And what's important to me as God is relationships and love and you looking like Jesus. So that means I'm going to crush you for 15 years because I love you to get all this crap out, all the lies, all the idols, all the demons, all the curses, so that you can be pure and you can actually know what's valuable and love and focus on that. Okay, that's the background. So what are the 7 things? All right, so the first thing, number 1, find a friend. We're lonely. Only 6% of men, adult men in America, have a best friend. Six. So 94% don't. So we're in a crisis of loneliness. So find a friend and, text them every day, call them. And it's got to be a peer. It's not a mentor thing. It's a peer. It's like a friend, someone who likes you, even a little bit. Just start. Like, even if they only like you a little bit, just that's better than nothing. All right. It's better than box wine and Netflix. And let's be honest, like, it's a friend. Okay, so find a friend. Two, join a group. You got a friend, someone who likes you. Now get in a small group of people who now who know you. Not like, I'm not telling join AARP or join a bowling league, join a knitting club, join a small group Bible study, join a book club, whatever. Go to AA, go to ACA, like any group at all, as long as it's not evil. Like, don't join a gang, but like any small group will help, right? Okay, so find a friend, join a group. Three, get a mentor. Everyone needs to be mentored. We need to be refathered, remothered. We need to be reparented. I mean, this is the core. Like, we all had dysfunctional parents. 50% divorce rate in America. I think 60 or 70% of kids are growing up somewhat in single family houses, or at least feel single family because the mom and dad both work and they're being raised by daycare or nannies or babysitters or no one. Like, we are lonely and we don't know how to be who we are, right? Okay, so find a friend, join a group, get a mentor. And then the next one is avoid stimulants. This gets really personal. And this is where it hurts. So, what do I mean by stimulants? All right, so as much as possible, I'm not saying abstinence, but avoid alcohol, nicotine, caffeine, refined sugar, any drugs whatsoever, that are not medical, right? Like, so that's part of it. Avoid those things. And why avoid those things? We medicate with those things. Those things keep us from feeling our feelings. Well, if we can't feel our feelings, we don't know who we are. If we don't know who we are, we don't know how to change. So we medicate ourselves into, it's like the Wall-E movie where we're all these fat people walk, on the like floaty chairs with our Slurpee, their 89-ounce Slurpee. Like, we're not feeling our feelings. We are asleep, right? Okay, so, find a friend, join a group, get a mentor, avoid stimulants. Now, not just physical stimulants, digital stimulants, right? So avoid as much as possible social media, email, your phone, texting, having your phone be with you all the time, screen times, just being busy. All these stimulants just give us this false sense of security or false sense of meaning. Like, we need to be quiet. We need to live in this real world. We need to unplug from the matrix, is basically what these seven things are, is unplugging from the matrix. Like, we are plugged into the matrix. We need
Yeah.
to. So, okay, so find a friend, join a group, get a mentor, feel your feelings. And the next one is forgive everybody and confess everything, which you can now do because you've got a mentor who loves you, you've got a friend who likes you, you're in a small group where you've known who you are, and you stopped using all these stimulants, and now you're feeling this crap you've never felt before. You're like, oh my God, I hate my parents. Like, oh, I can't believe my Uncle Bob like sexually abused me when I was Uncle Bob, and now you're remembering this stuff and you're feeling it and it hurts and you're not medicating again with the box wine and Netflix, or like the social media and like whatever and vape, whatever it is, like it could be innocuous, right? Okay, so now you forgive everybody. There's nothing more important than forgiving and then confess everything, which you can confess to your mentor in confidence or your friend in confidence, or even better, your small group if you trust them. So now you are alive, you're awake, you're known by people, you're having these relationships, eye to eye contact in person, you're feeling things, you're forgiving things, you're getting cleaned out, right? So you get to that. And then the next one is be grateful and speak positively. And that's kind of two things, but it's related. So being grateful. So some brain science. So our brains are wired where things that we constantly do, our brain creates neurons. The way that the brain works is it'll do like a super highway path of neurons in our brain to help us remember things we're constantly doing. So it's like wake up, brush your teeth, right? These things are like, they're on the fast track in our brain. They're just like automatic. Well, when we say, "Oh, I'm such an idiot. Oh, I can't do that. No, I'm not good at that. No, I'm a bad dancer. I'm a horrible singer." These are fast tracks where we're just cursing ourselves constantly, right? Or we think, I'm never going to succeed. Like always picked last, always picked last. Woe is me. And this is victim mentality, which and you may have been victimized. I was victimized, and that's legitimate, but it turned into my identity, which is not legitimate, right? So what do? Be grateful. Okay. If you spend 5 minutes 3 times a day, just 5 minutes in the morning, middle of the day, some point, and right before bed, being grateful. You can say things like, "I'm so grateful for Mary. I'm so grateful for this podcast. I'm so grateful for my ring light." I mean, it could be as simple as that. It can also be just feeling and thinking, "Oh man, that vacation I took was so awesome. I love that jet skiing, man, and snorkeling." And your body is feeling grateful. 5 minutes, 3 times a day. Do it for a month. It will rewire your brain. You will go from being glass half empty to glass half full, depressed and orphan and negative and victim to confident and mature. And it rewires your brain. So being grateful is like working out. It's more important than working out at some level. And then speaking, the power of our voice, right? God coded the entire universe with his voice. Words, right? Sound waves. They have power. The famous one is Joshua when the Battle of Jericho. He said, he put a curse on the battle on Jericho. So anyone who rebuilds this, I think it's, you can check me, but it's basically if you rebuild the walls, your oldest son's going to die. You rebuild the gates, your youngest son's going to die. And there's a guy
Yeah,
400
he
years
did it.
later, 400 years later, this guy does it. Obviously didn't know the curse, right? Older son dies with the walls, younger son dies with the gates. And Joshua just spoke that one day into the atmosphere. 400 years later, it happened. Words are powerful. So be grateful, speak positively. Right. So that's the first. Okay. So we got find a friend, join a group, get a mentor, avoid stimulants, forgive everybody, confess everything, speak positively, and be grateful. I hope this isn't too hard. These are six. And the seventh one is let God love you. And if you have all seven of those, and this is like 101, like I'm trying to find the most basic, fundamental core things in life that build an environment for us to be healthy and to live. Of course, you can add on top of that, curses and blessings are kind of intrinsically in there, but curses and blessings and the demonic and exercise and all the things that are valuable, whatever, like in diet, like you can add all that stuff on. But these are the core things to me of relationship. Because look, we hurt in community and we heal in community. We're meant to be relational. That's who we are, right? Like the Trinity is three persons in relationship, right? God literally is intrinsically a relationship, right? He doesn't have a relationship. He is relationship. So that's how he created us, man and woman, right? Adam, when he first was created, was just Adam, wasn't right. He had to separate Adam into Adam and Eve to build a relationship because that mirrors the Godhead, right? Because it's like not a Trinity, but well, with God, it would be a Trinity, right? Obviously, they were meant to be in community with God. So that's the Trinity. So we need this. So this is the core to me.
And in Trinitarian theology, there's this concept that, like, as God is in relationship with God, we get drawn up into relationship with God, and then we become a part of that divine dance with God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Look, he created us because he wants to be in relationship with us, period. Like, that's it. That's the only reason we're here. I mean, the world, this whole terrarium we live in, like the universe, it's not the point. It's there to facilitate the point. The point is intimacy
Yeah.
with God and intimacy with each other.
Yeah. Well, it's like the Matrix. As he interacts with the Matrix, he finds out who he really is
Hmm.
and how he was made to impact the Matrix, you know?
Yeah. Well, when he pulls out of the matrix and he's in a real world with real people in a small group community and he's being mentored and taught and healed and grown, and then he goes back in to go war in the matrix against the evil that are in the matrix, right? To help deliver the matrix, the people in the matrix. The Matrix is a great movie because even my favorite scene is like the woman in the red dress and like all the agents because
Mhm.
they're like the people hit like Morpheus's like monologue there is great because like the very people we're called to release or to set free think we're the enemy until they're set free.
Yep.
Really fascinating because the agents can get into them, right, which are the demons, right, and then they can, use, that body to help, their goals and all that.
That's very fabulous. No, I love that though, and I think I've watched you live that super well, and I've seen that, currently in France, even with stimulants like alcohol, sleeping around, croissants, that's sort of the top 3 here. That's your main top 3, and, if you remove the top 3, you actually are like,
Hmm.
"Oh, I'm gonna feel some feelings here."
Yeah.
And, I think that's something I've really been reflecting on too is what happens when you stop numbing out and get in relationship and let yourself
It
be loved.
hurts. It hurts.
Yeah,
It's harder.
it hurts for a minute and then you're like, there's something much better than this.
Yeah. Well, like my another example I give is like, look, if you just ran, 5 miles and you're really thirsty and there's nothing to drink, your body's craving water, obviously. But if there's nothing to drink and someone hands you a Coke, you're gonna drink it, probably, if you know you can't get to water at some point. If you're going through the desert and like you've been 3 days without water and someone's like, all I got is this like Pepsi, you're like, I'm gonna take it. Like, I don't want it, but it's something. It's something, you know what I mean? But if you've been drinking Coke for 20 years, that's all you know is Coke. And you got the high, you got the caffeine, you got the sugar. Now of course, you're like 50 pounds overweight, and you're like diabetic, and like you're not feeling well. But all you know is Coke. And someone's like, hey, would you like some water? You're like, "Pfft, I don't want water. I like Coke. Until you realize if someone's like, hey, let me just give you an example of what it's like to live with water and not Coke. And like, oh my God, like you look good, you feel good, I got energy, you're healthy. So you move from Coke to water. Initially, it sucks, but ultimately, my gosh, like you wake up, you feel great, you're cleansed out, you're healthy, you've got energy, you lose all that weight, you're no longer diabetic. It's strong, like it's how you're meant to be. And that's what all those 7 things do is it helps get rid of the Coke and it helps give you water. So you're healthy.
That's awesome. Yeah, people that are living intensely spiritual lives or having intense spiritual experiences, my thing is like you've got to ground down in reality and let your spiritual and your physical come together
Hmm.
and put your life in order so that your spiritual world can also start to be in order. So I
Yeah.
really love these practical tips. Yeah,
Well,
that's
I
awesome.
think, if let's say you're spiritually gifted, right? Like, okay, let's look at athletes. Okay. So look at Michael Jordan. Like we go, Michael Jordan, best basketball player of all time. And we forgive him of all of his many moral, maybe exploits that weren't so great. Because you go, oh, he's so good at that. Well, let's go to church in the spiritual realm and go, oh my God, that guy is so prophetically gifted. Or what a great speaker. Oh, he's so good at unpacking the word. Like, oh my God, but it might be a moral nightmare. You know what I mean? You have no idea what their marriage is like. You have no idea what kind of parent they are. You have no idea what they're like on their own. And my feeling is like, I think God wants to bring the two together. It's like just because you're gifted spiritually doesn't mean that's what you only focus on. I mean, it's easier because you're good at it, but like we're called to be holistic and loving and full and look like Jesus. Jesus was not a nightmare personally, but then very gifted. Like he was perfect, right? And what did Jesus focus on? Relationships. I mean, and so like he lived it. And so like I feel like the practical side of friends and being in community and forgiving people and not being addicted to stimulants, all these things that are these 7 core things are the core foundation that allow us to then have an environment in which our gift can thrive and it will look like Jesus because I think people are allergic to hypocrisy and they're so tired of being told what to do or how to act. They just want to see someone who's normal, who's vulnerable, who's honest, who's authentic, being who they are, and pointing to Christ. Like that's the key. And yeah, so I think that's part of it.
Yeah, I think so too. No, it was just, yeah, really making me think. I mean, I've been walking around this week thinking about, like, I don't know, like the difference between being super spiritual and the difference between actually like following Jesus.
Mm.
It's usually love and who you are in your normal everyday waking and sleeping life. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's contentment. And the other thing that I would say, one of my quippy little lines is, adversity builds character and prosperity reveals it. But no one wants to go through adversity. But it's the only way to build character,
Right.
And I'm not saying seek it out, but like if you're in a situation that's hard, first of all, God allowed it to happen because he knows it can be redeemed and be the best thing for you right now. And he
Mhm.
knows even it's hard, whatever the hardship is, and he cries over and he empathizes with you, but he also knows, again, it's a scalpel.
Yeah.
As much as we can yield in that period, the healthier we'll be, and then the more loving we'll be. It's interesting. Like one of the things I've been realizing lately is like my whole
Mhm.
paradigm of valuation is different than it was 15 years ago. Like to the point where I was talking to a friend of mine and I said, it's as if I was
Mhm.
in a world where all the values were based on color. And I was like, ooh, yellow's better than black. Oh, and gold is better than red. And I valued everything on color. It's all colors. Not, and God was like, hey, it's about scent. Scent is my valuation
Oh.
matrix. I don't even, it's not, color is irrelevant. Like you're trying to like grade yourself on color, which is like power, authority, fame, whatever it is, right? He's like, I'm over here on scent, and scent is like character and love and relationship and giving to someone or receiving. Like it's not it's the wrong matrix to even look at. Like it's the wrong scale. You can't fit scent into color. Like if you're still so focused on color, you're not even going to smell anything. So to me, I was focused on yellow and really red's better. It was like, no, no, like it's those are all fine. Color's great. Neither are better. It's really just a tool, and scent
Yeah.
is what really matters. That's just an allegory, obviously. But
Yeah.
did you get my point?
Yeah, I think it's just about like what paradigm are you looking through? What are the lenses by which you're judging the situations?
Yeah, is
Yeah.
it God's kingdom or Satan's kingdom? And we don't realize how much we have been brainwashed and just lived in this world where the world is so the opposite of God's kingdom that we don't realize that we're just kind of walking along in it.
Yeah.
And so he wakes you up or invites you to be woken up. If you want to be woken up, he invites you. He's
Mhm.
always inviting us. He's inviting everyone who's listening to this, watching this. And after this, he's inviting everybody to wake up and to
Mhm.
let him love you and to let him make you more like who you're called to be. Like he wants us to be who we made us to be.
Yeah.
We're not robots and we're not clones. We're not clones of Jesus. We're his siblings. We
Yeah.
look like him as much as possible, but we have our own flair of it. We're own, like I'm the Scott version, you're the Mary version, right?
I think too, so Scott, you've got these like 7 core principles, but out
Mhm.
of those, you've designed this really fabulous game, which I've gotten to play with you in groups before. And so Scott has designed this really cool game called Stories, and it's actually designed to help people like step outside of their heads and pull their stories and their life narratives into community, and I would even say into the bigger narrative that God is telling. And it's really fun and it's in prototype now, hoping to get a GoFundMe link attached to this podcast. But
Sure.
yes, so Scott, do you want to, did I explain stories well?
Yeah, that was great. So it's a card game. So it's like little cards, the prompts,
Fun.
and we play in a group in person. I mean,
Cool.
I call the game the antidote to social media is one of the taglines I'm using
Right.
for it because it gets you in a physical space with
Yeah.
people telling stories, and it's
That's
fun.
cool.
So you have 2 minutes. You have
Cool.
2 minutes to tell the story. So it's
Okay.
fast.
You
It's
wanna
tight.
play around?
Yeah, let's play around.
Should we do, so there's 3 levels to the game. So there's easy, medium, and hard. So, like,
Oh goodness.
shallow, midpoint of the pool, and deep end. Which
Hmm.
should we go for, Scott?
We could do shallow and me and mid. Can I
Okay.
just set up really quick just to say a little bit more about it
Oh,
for a sec?
yeah, sure.
Okay. So we transform or we grow in one of two ways. We can learn information through any multiple ways, multiple mediums, right? Reading, writing, speaking, modeling. There's so many ways to learn information, but to really change and grow, it only happens two ways. Our brains copy what we see. So if I'm supposed to learn how to be a man, then I need to watch a man be a man, and I'll copy that behavior. Like I literally see it, I experience it. That's one way. I mean, I could read 100 books about being a man, but if I grew up in an Amazon world where there's only women and it's just me, I'm not going to really know because I'm learning information, but it's not teaching me how to be a man, right? 'Cause I need to watch a man be a man. Okay, so you can watch someone do something and you copy that behavior. The second way to learn is someone tells you a story about a behavior and your brain goes, oh, and just takes it. It's like that happened to me. So those are only two ways we grow. So we either grow by experiencing it or we grow by hearing a story about it. Well, there's 5 stages of development in life, infant, child, adult, parent, and elder, right? And so there's in infant and child, there's 27 skills we're meant to learn. You see all these adults who are very immature and like, wow, how can they be so smart and so gifted, but like act like a 5-year-old sometime, right? Well, okay, that's because when they were infants or children, they didn't learn these 27 skills you're supposed to learn in that time period. Maybe their mother didn't love them very well, or their father didn't love them very well. So then they objectify women, or they just don't know how to be a man. Okay. Or you didn't learn how to take care of yourself or advocate for yourself. These are all skills you're supposed to learn in these first 12 years of your life. Well, so this game, basically, the stories game, what I did was I went and wrote 300 prompts based on based on brain science, those 27 skills you're supposed to learn as infant and children. So when we play the game, what should happen is that if I tell you a story and you tell me a story, we learn about each other. We're in a relationship. That's really nice. Like it's just fun and it's intimate and it's caring and it's rich, but also our brains are hearing these stories and appropriating that behavior. And as we hear more stories, like for me, I had a distant father, right? So for me, as I hear good stories about fathering, it feels like these 27 cubby holes in our brain for these 27 skills. It fills that cubby hole up with good things. Does that make sense? So it matures us as we grow. It's kind of like gamifying group therapy.
Yeah.
All
Yeah,
right.
it's cool. Let's pull some cards.
All right, so let's see. I'll ask you a question. You got 2 minutes. What's an experience that changed the course of your life for the better?
Oh, wow. Okay, I'm ready.
Go.
So, when I was in my early 20s, I had just gone through a really hard couple of years, and I felt like Jesus was asking me to go out to New Mexico just to, like, get away. And, like, what it turned into was a 2-week encounter where there was just all this, like, healing and unpacking and, like, learning to hear his voice and really letting him unpack things to me. But in addition to, like, the rich spiritual experience, it was the first time I had really traveled extensively by myself.
Hmm.
And one of the things I was thinking about this week was, like, taking that risk of going to a place by myself really far away that I'd never been before really built my resilience and my trust, not just in him, but also in myself and my ability to like go places, figure things out. And it wasn't just about like the cool spiritual experiences. It was also like the going and the doing and the ability to go and travel and just be in a completely new, like alien kind of feeling desert landscape.
It's great.
Yeah.
You made it within 2 minutes.
Oh, good. I was really sweating it.
So I'll do one too. I'm going to wait for it to go down and I'll give
Okay.
some hints to people as you know we're playing. So two things that help stories be more powerful and be a better storyteller. One is to tell how you were physically feeling, like it was cold, I was hot, I was scared. Like how are you physically feeling, right? And then, well, I mixed the two. How you're physically feeling and how you're emotionally feeling. So like it was
Mhm.
cold and then I was scared. Like so those are two things that can help. Okay, so I'll ask myself the same question, which was an experience that changed the course of your life forever. Okay, ready?
I'm ready.
Okay, so I was 23. I was going to Yale Divinity School in New Haven, and I had been invited to a party in New York City, and I met the woman who would become my wife. And
Mhm.
she was like, "Hey," and she liked me, pursued me, and like wanted to hang out. And I was dating someone else, and I was completely not interested at the time. But she called one day, and she's like, "Hey, you want to come to the city? And it's an hour and a half away by train. And you want to come in the city? My church is doing all night prayer Friday night. We can do all night prayer. Then you can crash at my apartment because I'm going to go out to Long Island for the weekend." I was like, great, perfect. I love prayer. This was her litmus test for any date. Any guy who would say yes to all night prayer was like, okay, he's in, right? Okay. So remember, Yale Div, super brainy. So drive into New York City. We go to church early. We grab a little dinner, right near the Odeon down in Tribeca, which is where our church was. We go
Mhm.
back. It's like 10 or 12 people in a circle. And this is a primarily African American sort of inner city church, low income at the time. And, the pastor was this ex homeless guy. And I'm,
Mhm.
Greenwich, Connecticut, Yale, coming into the situation. It was kind of like, it's interesting. And I watched, and we prayed till like 1 or 2 in the morning. And the guy's like, hey, I think we're done. But I watched the circle. I'm like, there's no way humans are doing this. Like something supernatural, like the way these people are praying and following each other. And like, I've
Mm.
never experienced this. Like, there is an orchestra leader conducting this somewhere. This is so supernatural. So I walk up to the pastor. I'm like, hey, I don't believe in this whole Holy Spirit thing. Just want to tell you, And he's like, hey, Scott, okay. Nice to meet you. You know, it walks me through, and within 5 minutes, I'm praying in tongues, baptized in the Holy Spirit, and changed the course of my life forever.
Dang, you did it. That's awesome. That's awesome. Should we do one more?
How about this one? A person made me feel valuable and special.
Oh,
I can feel the Holy Spirit on this one. I feel this is a good one. I'm looking forward to your story.
yeah. Yeah, I kind of had this crazy experience in England last summer. You started it?
I just started it. I can stop it and start it over. I'm going to start over.
No, that's fine. It's whatever.
I thought you were going.
I was going, and then I thought I had already been running on the clock,
Nope. Ready?
right? No, I had this really fabulous experience in England last summer where somebody pulled me into their house for 2 weeks. And I had just gone through a really difficult season relationally and had like a really bad like foot issue that was going on. And they pulled me into their house for 2 weeks and prayed for me every night. And my foot got healed. And it was just like this moment where I just felt valued and seen and cared for in a way that was like really supernatural and where it was like only God could have like orchestrated or put that together.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And I think too, I mean, I remember like nights at your house, Scott, with like a group of like ministry folks, all kind of like we're all a little bit like raggle taggle misfits. Like it's really awesome in a beautiful way. And like just like sitting around the sofa and like watching people come out of their shells,
Hmm.
watching people step into authenticity and humility. And this is what's really going on, but also seeing God meet people in that by offering encouragement and healing and strength. I mean, I think I felt more valued in community in the last year than possibly any other year.
That's great.
Yeah.
Well done.
Oh, wow. See,
You had
I
time.
get
You're
some.
fast. You tell them quick. I tend to be a little wordy.
Yeah, that's okay. Okay, you go, Scott.
All right. So trying to think a person made me feel valuable and special. Let's see. I can talk about, I guess, like the community groups. Like, so, I host this group every other week at my house for people who are in the ministry team at our church, and Mary's been a part of that when she was in Nashville. And it's like
Mm,
10 to 12 people ish usually are there. And so we have dinner, we hang out, and then we like will pray for each other or whatever. Basically it's ministered whoever needs to be ministered to. It's a time of refreshing. It's all about giving and receiving. And afterwards, there's always the after party. And the after party is always better than the party, I find. So the after parties. And so, usually 3 or 4 people will hang back,
mhm,
afterwards, after most people leave. And it's sweet because I do all the cooking or most of the cooking, and it's at my house. And so it's very nice when people will just like get up without any, they just go over and I'll just do all the dishes, clean everything up, put everything away. It's super sweet. And then that happens, and I'm feeling like glad that that's happening. But then what's really nice is you'll be sitting there, and it's kind of a cozy room. We got a little worship music playing, little, Magusto, kind of like, and that's going on. And someone's like, "Hey, Scott, let's pray for Scott tonight. I think Scott, I want to pray for Scott." I'm like, "Oh, this is so nice. Like, I didn't ask to be prayed for." And one night you were there, it was like you and 4 other people, 3 or 4 other people, and it went for 40 minutes. And it was just like prophetic word after prophetic
mm,
word. And it was super encouraging. And it was both encouraging because of what God was relaying through you guys, but it was also encouraging just because I felt loved, I felt cared for. I felt valued. I felt honored.
mm,
I felt that you guys wanted to give to me. Like I was valuable in that way, right? And it was very loving. And I was able to receive it. And it was so nice. It was so refreshing, because I have 7 kids and, I was an only child. So I had 7 kids and I had a fairly toxic marriage up until about 7 years ago and ran a company with my ex-wife, and I've run done a bunch of companies and had hundreds of employees, and my mom died of Alzheimer's, and so like my whole life has been pretty much me giving, me leading.
mm.
That's been most of it, and I was raised to be codependent as a child, so I was always kind of trying to give to my parents as well, and so to be loved. And I was also
Yeah,
sexually abused as a kid, like so much. And so I was like, my
right.
whole life like being pursued, being loved, being cared for is like water in the
Mhm.
desert for me. It's just the littlest thing I totally appreciate, like doing the dishes or like, hey, can I pray for you? It's so nice. So I really appreciate that.
Yeah,
That's an example of it.
that's awesome. Well, and I think that's one of the 7 things. Get in community.
Community is it. It's key.
Community is it. Well, thanks so much, Scott. Yeah, I just want to thank you for your time, for your vulnerability, for being willing to share your wisdom, all the good things today. So, Scott, if people want to find you, how would they do that?
Well, the storiesgame.com is the website for the game. And once we do the Kickstarter, it'll be on there. It'll
Mhm.
probably be the next month or two. We're working through graphic
Cool.
design right now, designer who's designing the graphics for it in the box and all that. So probably the next couple of months before Christmas, hopefully we'll
Nice.
have that gun. So you can go to storiesgame.com to get that. And, that's the main way.
Okay, cool. And if you're a high-powered CEO looking for somebody to do consulting or someone
Well,
in
then
the
go to thenextagency.com, which is
yeah,
my ad agency. And if you're curious about photography and painting, you can go to scotthughes.art to see all my art. So those are the
nice.
3.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Thanks so much, Scott. Well, I just appreciate everybody being willing to jump in and hear a little bit more. And I hope this inspires you to get a little bit more emotionally healthy as you pursue spirituality and God. And you can jump into community starting in January in the upcoming Seeing Spiritually course that will be on maryfortheages.com. But we look forward to having you. Thank you so much for joining me at Mary for the Ages podcast. I have so enjoyed hosting these conversations and getting to know these amazing guests. Please find them and connect with them online. And if you are looking for more resources, I have free resources on my site at maryfortheages.com, marifortheages.com. I also have some free and paid courses on that site, as well as a free and member-based Substack subscription at Mary for the Ages, MARI for the Ages, and I would love to see you there. Remember to rate, review, and subscribe. We are a small but mighty little team over here, and your rate and review of this podcast helps us so much. See you next time.